Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to another presentation on International Education Week 2020. And today we're talking about universities in the United States. So my name is Alex Noppe. I'm the cultural attaché at Embassy Dushanbe. But what I think is unusual about me is before I joined the US State Department, I was a university professor for about 10 years. And I worked at a number of different US universities all over the country. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to actually be at an American university. And so I would encourage you, if you have any questions at any point, please go ahead and type them into Facebook, and I'll do my best to answer them during this program. So if you have any questions from an actual former university professor about what it's like to be studying and to be living at an American university, please go ahead and ask, and I'll be happy to answer them. So the first thing that I think is important to talk about is there is no one model for an American university. The United States has over 5,000 institutes of higher education, and they are about as different as you possibly can imagine. First, we have public universities that are state funded, and every single state in the United States has at least one, and in many cases, quite a few public universities. And then there are also thousands of private institutions, everything from very small to very large. Speaking of that, there are universities that only have several hundred students. There are also universities that have many tens of thousands, 50, 60,000 students. It's like being in your own little city, and I'll talk more about that later. There are universities that only cater to students who are undergraduate students. There are universities that only have two-year associate degrees. There are also universities that have the full spectrum of degrees, undergraduate, master's, doctoral programs, and also some specialty graduate type degrees that don't fall into those nice, neat categories. You'll find universities that have very small specialties, universities that specialize in computer science, in healthcare, in the performing arts. Also, there are, of course, many universities that have hundreds and hundreds of different degree programs that you could possibly pick from. And finally, there are some universities that are very rural, that are located a long way from major cities. There are some universities that are embedded within our largest cities, within New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So pretty much anything that you could possibly want out of a university, I guarantee that you will find at least some American universities that have those characteristics. So a lot of what you're looking for when you're trying to decide about a university to attend is think about what you want out of a university. And so today, we're going to show you some universities. So I'm going to start, and then we've got some videos from some former Fulbright English teaching assistants that spent this past year in Tajikistan and are now back in graduate school. Of course, I was involved with a number of different universities, both universities that I attended and universities that I taught at. And so I'm going to show you a lot of pictures from these universities. So just to start, some of our universities in the United States have these beautiful, gorgeous campuses with lots of nature, lots of space between the buildings. This is actually the university in my hometown where I grew up, in Green Bay, Wisconsin. My parents both taught at this university, so I spent a lot of time here. As you can see, fall in Wisconsin is an absolutely beautiful time, and this is a really nice campus with lots of access to nature. There's even a golf course on campus. On the other side of the spectrum is a university like Portland State University in Oregon, which, as you can see, is completely integrated into the downtown part of the city. And you'll find a lot of universities like that as well, where there's not a lot of difference between the university and the city. The university that I'm going to talk about today is one state over, Boise State University in Boise, Idaho. And I chose this for a couple reasons. Number one, it's the university that I worked at the longest. I spent 4 years teaching at Boise State University. Also, the state of Idaho reminds me more of Tajikistan than any other state in the United States. It's got a very similar climate. It also is surrounded by mountains. And of course, they're not as tall mountains as you have in Tajikistan, but it's still really nice to be among nature there. Now, unfortunately, I wish I was able to go back to Boise State and take lots of videos to share with you, but for the same reason that we're doing this presentation online in the virtual space, I've been in Tajikistan for the last many months, so I'm sharing this university to you through pictures, and I have all kinds of pictures from Boise State, and so I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about how this university works. So this, of course, is the main administration building where the university president works. And that's their logo, the big B right here in the middle. Just to give you a few facts about Boise State. So it's a medium to large size university in the United States. It's got over 26,000 students. Out of those, about 2/3 of them are undergrad, about 1/3 of them are graduate students. 71% of the students come from the state of Idaho. The other 29% come from mostly states surrounding Idaho, mostly within the region, but also there are students from all over the United States. The university has almost 800 professors in various subjects, some that teach full-time, some that only teach 1 or 2 classes. An interesting fact, and we'll talk more about this, 67%, so 2/3 of the freshman students, the first-year students, live on campus in dormitories and apartments. Boise State University has 204 different degree programs through undergraduate, master's, and doctoral level. And some of the most popular programs at this university are the healthcare field and the health sciences. So nursing, psychology, biology, and health, and also computer science is very big at Boise State. And then something that will probably be of interest to everybody watching this presentation, like almost every American university, there are a number of international students at Boise State. In this case, over 400 of them, and they come from 65 different countries. So just to give you an idea about how academics typically work in an American university, because I know it's a little different than you typically will find in Tajikistan. So almost every student picks what they call a major. So this is your primary course of study, what you will spend the most time in while you're at a university, and that's what you'll get a degree in. So you can say, I got a degree in physics, in literature, in Persian languages, and that's your major. You'll probably spend about 2/3 of your time taking classes within your major, so classes that are specific to that degree program. You'll also, at most American universities, and of course this is for undergraduate, graduate is a little bit of a different story. For undergraduate, you'll spend about 1/4 of your time taking what's called general education courses. And this means that every student at the university has to take several courses in math, in English language and literature, science, performing arts, history, and maybe a couple of other classes. So typically people take between around 8 to 10 classes as part of this general education curriculum that everybody takes. And most people they spend a lot of their freshman year, their first year, doing those general education courses. The good thing about that is that since most people take a lot of similar courses their freshman year, if you don't decide what your major, what your degree plan is going to be until later on, it's okay. I would actually say that almost even half of American university students might change their major sometime during their college career. And as long as you don't wait till the very end to change your major, you usually can do it without adding on much time to your degree. So the universities are designed that way, with the understanding that when you arrive at a university as a first-year student, you may not know what you want to do with the rest of your life, and you might learn that along the way. So they give you the opportunity to change courses as you're going. One other thing that most university students will take is a couple courses that aren't necessarily related to their major, and they're not part of that general education curriculum. We call those electives. These are courses that you take purely out of your own interest. So, say I was a biology major, but I really had an interest in physics or an interest in astronomy. I can take a couple classes in that field. We call them electives. Now, obviously, you won't be able to take the most advanced level classes that require a lot of prior study. Um, but you can take some classes in a variety of fields, and some people take lots of different electives. Um, American universities also, in addition to a major, typically have an option called a minor, which is a field that you will specialize in that doesn't quite have as much importance as your major. So you might take say 6 to 8 classes along your entire college career in a different field. Again, you could be majoring in engineering and take a minor in business and take maybe 6 courses in business along the way. And then some universities, Boise State included, have things called certificate programs, where you can take a group of 3 to 4 classes in one area and receive a certificate that says that you're qualified in that area. So maybe you're doing a business major and you get a certificate in computer graphics that will show any prospective employer that you also have had training in computer graphic design. So that's kind of a very brief overview of how the academics in an American university work. Obviously, it depends a lot on the university. And of course, if you're doing a graduate degree, a master's or a doctorate, you'll spend almost your entire career specializing in your subject. All right, let's move on and let's take a look at Boise State University through a bunch of pictures. So we'll start by talking about academics. Um, the One of the focal points of many universities is the library, or in some cases, multiple libraries, which have not only books and journals and magazines, but also audiovisual resources and many online resources, databases of newspapers and journals and articles. And Boise State Library is no exception. This is the main library. Um, and in addition to those resources inside the library, you can find a lot of spaces for studying and to do work. So this is one of those spaces. You can see it looks pretty comfortable. There's lots of space to study. There's offices and little rooms that you can use to have class discussions or meetings. This is a very common use for the library, particularly nowadays where so many resources are online. We use the library as a meeting and a workspace. Most libraries are also really well equipped with technology. And so even though most American college students do bring their own computer to school, if you need access to a computer, you can always find that at the library, access to a printer, access to scanners, and all kinds of other technology. I know that the Boise State Library also has things like 3D printers in it if you're working with 3D engineering. So lots of technology there. In addition to the library, the most American universities give a lot of support to their students academically, and they have lots of different services for students outside of the classroom. So one of these that you find at Boise State is the Writing Center, where you can, if you have, you're working on a paper, or you're working on a thesis or a dissertation, or you just want to practice your writing, this is something that would be really interesting for international students who want help working on their English. You can go to the Writing Center and you can work with experienced consultants who will help you with your writing. This is available for students and also for faculty. In addition, because every student's college career, their degree path, the courses that they take look a little bit different between every student. No two students have exactly the same path. There's a lot of importance placed on academic advising, having advisors there to help you create your perfect college experience, create the right degree plan for you, help you figure out what courses to take. Also, just to help you along with your academic success. If there are things that you're struggling with, the advising centers are really good at helping you with that. And so you can see, here in this picture, the academic advisor is helping with time management, something that we all need help with. At least when I was a college professor, all of my students needed practice with time management. So they can go to their advisors and get help with that. Boise State University is a big technological university. Two really large computer companies, Micron and HP, they have their headquarters in Boise, and so they hire a lot of Boise State graduates. So the university has put a huge focus on technology, and so you'll see a lot of very sophisticated technological laboratories within the university. So I'll show you some pictures of a couple of those. This is a lab for the Health Sciences College. This is one for the Engineering College. You can see they're working on new product development. And you might notice a familiar face there. That's former President Barack Obama visiting the university and getting a tour of some of the engineering labs. Computer science is also really big at Boise State. And so here's their virtual reality laboratory where computer science students work on creating virtual reality applications. Moving on. So let's talk about campus life a little bit. So earlier you heard me mention that about 2/3 of all of the first-year students live on campus. And it's very common for many university students to live in on-campus dorms and on-campus apartments. Some of them do that their entire college career. I will say one of the common things for American university students to do is to spend their first year or two within the dorms and then get their own apartment or maybe get a house with some friends, rent a house, and live a little bit off campus. That's very common. I will also say that there are many universities in the United States where a lot of their students continue to live at home with their families. That's also very normal, and that's something that also happens at a university like Boise State. There are some universities that don't have any on-campus housing. Many two-year universities or technical colleges don't have on-campus housing for their students because most of their students live at home and have jobs that they work at the same time that they go to school. There are also some, usually small universities, that require all of their students to live on campus for the entire time. So because of this, I mentioned earlier that a lot of American universities are kind of like a small city. And that's exactly what's happened at a place like Boise State. You'll find everything you need to have a great university experience on the campus. So this is a typical university dorm. This is Kaiser Hall, and this is the outside, and now I'll show you what the inside looks like. This is a typical university dorm room. You can see this is designed to be shared by 2 students. It's a pretty small space, but they're usually pretty nice. Some dorms are kind of like this, where it's just one room and you share a bathroom down the hall. Some dorms are set up much more like apartments, where there might be 4 rooms inside and then surrounding a kitchen, living area, and bathroom. In this case, for a dorm room like this one, a lot of these dorms will have what's called common areas. And here's an example of a common area where all of the students that live on that floor can use as a living space, to watch TV, to play games, to make food, to eat with their friends. This is also very, very typical. Speaking of eating, since there are so many people living on campus, there also need to be lots of opportunities to find food. So this is the main dining room, the main cafeteria at Boise State. You can see it's fairly large, and this is where a number of students that live in the dorms eat breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner as well. It's also available to students that aren't living in the dorms. So I would sometimes, as a professor, go down and eat there in the dining room. Of course, Boise State is a large campus, over 26,000 students, and so one dining facility isn't enough. There are smaller restaurants and cafes and stores and fast food places around the university in various buildings, so you're never that far from finding food. This is what the cafeteria kitchen looks like. There are usually lots of options. I've found that university cafeterias in the United States now range from kind of okay to really amazing. Um, the cafeteria where I went to school was actually pretty good. The dorms were not so good. This was 20 years ago. They're a lot better now, but the cafeteria was still pretty good. And then here's an example of some of the fast food items that you'll find on the campus of Boise State. Lots of the normal fast food restaurants you might expect, and of course Starbucks, which is probably just about everywhere in America. In addition to dining, just to give you an example of more campus life, a university like Boise State thinks that the performing arts are very important. So they have some world-class performing arts facilities. I, of course, was a music professor, so I spent a lot of time here in the Morrison Center, which is absolutely a world-class 2,000-seat performing arts center that brings in big orchestras, big theatrical productions, as well as having student productions. So it's kind of a paid opera ballet hall, as well as being a center for student performing arts activities. Dance and theater departments at the university. And of course, all of these performances are free for students to go to. You can go witness great theatrical events. They even sometimes have performing arts events outside. This is a nice little amphitheater on the river. You can't quite see the river, but it's beyond these trees. The picture is a little small, but that's actually me down there. This is a band that I directed doing an outdoor performance this is about 8 or 9 years ago, actually. I hope they still keep doing these performances outside. There are also many different clubs and organizations for students to get involved with outside of their class time, and that's a really big part of the American university experience. So just to show you a couple here, this is the Alpine Club, the Rock Climbing Club. This one in the left corner is the Country Dancing Club. And then something that I thought might be interest to Tajik students, this is the Muslim Student Association of Boise State. And there's about 200 more clubs and organizations. You can be as involved as you want to be. All right, finally, I know you're all interested in this because, of course, athletics are a really big part of the American university experience, and they certainly are at Boise State. This is a football school. The football team gets, as you can see, a lot of fans for all of their games. This is their really amazing stadium for the night games. I am aware that the football field is blue, and that's not normal. As far as I can tell, this is the only blue American football field in the world. Most of the rest of them are green like normal. In addition to football, basketball is also really big at American universities. So here's the Boise State women's basketball team. In most cases, American universities have both men and women's sports, oftentimes in roughly equal numbers. And then, of course, not just the university sports, there are lots of recreation and athletic opportunities for students that are not college athletes. So this is the university swimming pool. When the swimming team is not using it, students and faculty members are absolutely allowed to use the pool and swim laps. In addition, there are also a couple of gyms on campus. Here's one of them. Again, all of this exercise equipment available for students to use. That's my tour through Boise State University. I figured I would pick a picture that looks a little bit like our day out today in Dushanbe. This is the main quad of the university, walking between my office and the main library. So that's a little bit about Boise State University. and just trying to give you an idea of what universities in the United States look like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn to some video presentations about a couple other universities so you can see some of the differences and just get a sense for what American universities look like. Let me just remind everybody, if you have any questions um, about universities, what life is like on campus, how to get in, how to succeed there, or any questions that you might want to ask from an actual former university professor, please go ahead and type those into the Facebook chat and ask them, and I'll pause between videos and try to show some of those, try to answer some of those questions. Since we don't have any so far, I'm going to go on and we'll show some videos from other universities. So these are all videos that were made by our Fulbright English teaching assistants that were here in Tajikistan from beginning of fall 2019 until spring of this year, spring 2020. The first one that I'm going to show comes from the University of Texas at Austin, and it's by our ETA, Emily Landon, who those of you that are in Dushanbe might know Emily because she worked at the American Space up there. So Emily is now in graduate school at the University of Texas, and she's going to give you a little tour through her campus. So I'm going to get that video set up, and please go ahead and ask questions if you have any. I can answer them at the end.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I was an English teaching assistant in Dushanbe last year. Today I am a master's student at the University of Texas in Austin, Texas. And so I'm going to give you guys a tour of my new university in celebration of International Education Week. So behind me you'll see a really big tower. It's a really cool symbol of the University of Texas, and I'm going to go show you. So this is the main tower at the University of Texas. This is a very famous symbol of the university, and when the university first started, it was the library, but today it's too small. So it holds some offices, and it's a really nice place for students to study. So this is the mall. Behind me is the tower, and in front of me is a really nice large green area to sit and a statue of George Washington overlooking the Capitol building. So Austin is the capital of Texas, and so it has a Capitol building, and then you can see George Washington, one of the founding fathers and the first president. So when I have class on campus, this is where I walk to go to class at the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs. And it's named after the former president, Lyndon B. Johnson. So this is a library that is named after him, and it's one of the many famous presidential libraries. And this is the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs, and this is where I go to class. We also call it the LBJ School because Lyndon B. Johnson can be shortened to LBJ. The school is celebrating 50 years of teaching. So this is the entrance to the football stadium, and if you guys should know one thing about Texas, it's that football is very popular here. So, this is the entrance to the university's varsity football stadium. So, this is where the football team practices and plays games. And it is so big. This stadium can hold 100,000 people. So here are some of the dorms where students live and a dining hall. So typically only first or second year students will live on campus. For your third or fourth year or for your master's degree, you usually live in a house or an apartment nearby. And this is really cool. This is a garden that the university has where they grow food for the dining halls. So I can see some basil and some squash and lots of other vegetables that they will use to feed students and help the university be more eco-friendly instead of buying their produce from far away. So here are some of the other dorms and dining halls on the campus. The University of Texas is really big. It's one of the biggest universities in America. So there are 40,000 undergraduate students or students who are pursuing a bachelor's degree. So this is a famous fountain on campus called the Littlefield Fountain. And so our last stop today is going to be the Perry Castaneda Library. So this is the library on campus where students can work on assignments or write papers or study for their classes. And of course, look for books. It is open right now, and I have been studying here with lots of social distancing. So right outside, you see some students studying outside and enjoying the Texas sunshine. Thanks, y'all, for joining me on this tour today of the University of Texas at Austin. I hope you enjoyed seeing my new university and seeing a little bit of Austin, Texas. And as we like to say here at UT, when we say goodbye, hook 'em.
So I just really want to thank Emily for making that great video showing one of America's really fantastic universities. And we're going to go on and we're going to see another university presentation. You're probably noticing that a lot of the things that you saw in Emily's video about University of Texas were very similar to what I showed from Boise State University. And you might see some of the same things in this next video. So this next one comes from our Fulbright English teaching assistant, Ethan Taylor, who was working down in the American space in Bukhtar this past year. And so Ethan right now is at a university that means a lot to me, the University of Michigan, where I actually got my bachelor's degree. So I think it's an amazing, wonderful university, and I'm so glad that he's there. And I'm going to show you a little of a video that Ethan made showing some parts of the campus at the University of Michigan. So please enjoy. All right, so that was the University of Michigan. One of the things that you're probably noticing um, is that there really aren't that many people around at these universities. And the reason for that, of course, is COVID. The same reason why I'm doing this online and not in person. Um, Most American universities are conducting classes either entirely virtually or mostly in the virtual space. So you're not actually going to find nearly as many students in both of the universities that we just watched, including, and the next one too. There are many, many students, and during normal times, you'll find the universities just full of students and faculty members and lots of activity. So it's a little bit of a weird time. It's also a little bit difficult to get inside some of the buildings these days because of COVID. A lot of the buildings are more restricted than they used to be. So that's one of the reasons why it's just a little bit difficult to find, to get inside. But we've got one more university that I want to show you. And just one more request. If you have any questions about US universities at all, please go ahead and ask them now. And at the end of this next video, I'll answer any of your questions. Otherwise, this final video comes from our English teaching assistant, Sahil Sandhu, who was also stationed up in Hujan this past year. And Sahil is at Tulane University, which is located in one of our famous cities of New Orleans, Louisiana. And so Sahil is going to give you a tour through his graduate university of Tulane. So please enjoy his video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sahil Sandhu, and I was a Fulbright BTA last year at Kujan, and I'm going to be doing a little tour of the university I am currently attending. So, without further ado, welcome to Tulane University. So, we'll be doing a little walking tour, starting now. So this is Gibson Hall, where visitors that are first coming to campus can initially visit. It also serves as the campus's administration center as well. Tulane University was founded in 1834 as a medical college. Since then, it has become a much bigger school. There are around 14,000 students that attend here, 8,000 undergraduates, around 6,000 graduate students, and they study a variety of topics, all in this beautiful campus that is in the heart of New Orleans, which is one of the most interesting cities in the United States to visit and to live in, for sure. It has a very interesting style of architecture that goes through several different eras and ages, just like this building that we have just passed. This is just a continuation of some of the architectural examples and some of the examples of greenery and gardens all across campus. So this very big modern building is where I have majority of my classes. It is called Percival Stern Hall, and we will be going inside to take a look at the classrooms that students like me learn in every day. So this is the front lobby of the building. So here we are on the second floor, where some of the classes in the science and engineering department take place. This is an example of a normal classroom here at Tulane, especially in one of the newer buildings like this one. And as you can see, it has a projector, it has a computer, and everything you need to teach a class. This is the other side of Percival Stern Hall, and we will be going across the street now. This is another shot of Percival Stern Hall from the other side, but across the road. So some roads, since this is in the middle of a city, cross campus and cut it up. So you must be careful when you are walking across campus. This is the Tulane Mall, which leads down campus. As you can see, there are events that happen along the way, like this farmers market that we've just passed. If you have not gotten it at this point, Tulane puts in a lot of effort in making its campus look very beautiful. This is the Lavin Burnwick Center for Student Life. It is basically a recreational center where students can meet up, get food, shop at the bookstore, get coffee, talk with their friends. It is a very multi-purpose area, and it is one of the most popular areas on campus. Right across from it is the Goldring Woldenberg Business Center, where many of these business classes that students wish to take place. It is perhaps one of the most modern buildings on campus. This is one of my favorite buildings on campus. This is the McAllister Auditorium, where you can come and give seminars and presentations on various topics. This is another one of my favorite buildings on campus. This is the Howard Tilton Memorial Library, and this is a very, very big library. It has many tens of thousands of books. It has many resources that you can use for your studies or to just learn about a topic. It also has many areas for you as a student to study if you wish. Right by it, there are the Commons, which is another recreational center, like the Lavin Burnwick Memorial Center that I mentioned before, where you could just meet with friends. All of this has been slightly limited due to COVID here in the United States, but normally this is what these things would be used for. This is an example of a residential area on campus. Tulane has many dorms for both its athletes and for undergraduates who are required to live on campus for the first 2 years. There are a variety of spaces, but I thought this was interesting. This is right next to the recreational fields where people can play sports along with teams, and the gym. So this is just a brief glimpse of what the downtown campus looks like, with the medical school and the hospital being in front of me, and then those buildings being public health buildings. I would like to thank you for joining me on this tour, and hopefully one of these days you can come down and see Tulane for yourself and even go here.
Well, thanks to Sahil for that video from Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. And thanks also to Ethan and Emily for our other videos. It doesn't look like there are any other questions. So that will bring us to the end of this presentation. Hopefully you've learned something interesting about American universities. Hopefully it's made it a little more likely that you'll be interested in applying to one of those universities. And of course, if you are interested in applying to an American university, we have many different exchange programs for university students. You can find all of that information on the U.S. Embassy in Dushanbe website. Under International Education Week, there'll be lots of these programs all recorded and available for you to watch. And then there'll be other information on our exchange programs. You also can go ahead and contact Education USA, which is the official representative of American universities in Tajikistan. Education USA's mission is to help students find a university, get accepted, and figure out how to fund their university education. So they have lots of resources for you. I guess at this point, I will close the presentation and just say for everybody out there that's applying for university study, good luck and have a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll have a chance to see you sometime at an American university. Have a great day. Take care.